Welcome, and let the world grow quiet and soft around you. As you settle in and let your breathing slow down all on its own, imagine drifting gently outward from the earth, past the pale and patient moon, and onward into the deep and peaceful dark, beginning a calm and unhurried tour of 100 quiet facts about the true size of the universe. This is not a tour meant to frighten or to overwhelm, but a gentle invitation to feel how vast and how spacious everything truly is. There is nothing at all you need to remember tonight. Just let the words wash softly over you, one slow fact at a time, as you sink a little deeper into rest. The first fact is that our long journey begins right here on Earth, a modest rocky world about 12,700 kilometers across, small enough that a jet could circle it in a single day, and yet large enough to hold every ocean, every mountain, and every living thing that you have ever known, all cradled quietly beneath one thin and gentle sky. The second fact is that the fastest thing in the entire universe is light itself, traveling through the empty dark at very nearly 300,000 kilometers in a single second, a speed so great that nothing we know of can ever exceed it. And it is by this swift and steady light that we will gently measure the vastness of everything tonight. The third fact is that light moves so quickly that in just one single second it could circle our whole Earth about 7.5 times over, racing around the entire world again and again and again in far less time than it takes you to draw one slow and quiet breath in the calm and settling darkness of your room. The fourth fact is that our moon, the nearest world to us in all the sky, rests about 384,000 kilometers away, so distant that even the swift light we spoke of takes a little over 1 full second to cross the gap between us, arriving softly a moment after it first sets out from that quiet and cratered face. The fifth fact is that the moon feels close and familiar to us, and yet the empty space between the Earth and the moon is wide enough to hold every other planet in our solar system, all of them lined up gently in a row, with a little room still left to spare, a first small hint of just how spacious the heavens truly are. The sixth fact is that our sun, the great warm heart of our days, rests about 150 million kilometers away from us, a distance so vast that its light, for all its tremendous speed, takes about 8 full minutes and 20 seconds to reach your upturned face, so the sunlight warming you is always gently 8 minutes old. The seventh fact is that this distance between the Earth and the Sun is so useful for measuring the heavens that astronomers gave it a simple name, the astronomical unit, and they quietly use this one single stride, this one gentle step of 150 million kilometers, to pace out the wider distances among the planets that drift beyond us. The eighth fact is that because light takes real time to travel across such distances, every time you gaze up at the sky you are softly looking into the past, seeing the sun as it was 8 minutes ago, and the moon as it was a second ago, so that the night sky is really a gentle gallery of old and traveling light. The ninth fact is that our whole Earth, spinning quietly beneath you, measures only about 40,000 kilometers around its middle, a distance a beam of light would cross in a mere blink, in about 1/7 of a single second, which begins to show how truly small our home is set against the wider ocean of the dark. The 10th fact is that the swiftest machine that human hands have ever built, a small probe sent to skim the outer edges of the sun, races along at nearly 700,000 kilometers each hour, and yet even this astonishing speed is more than 1,000 times slower than the gentle light that carries you these facts tonight. The 11th fact is that distances in space grow so great that kilometers soon become far too small and clumsy to hold them, and so astronomers measure the wider heavens in light years instead, where a single light year is simply the distance that light can travel across one full and patient year of quiet, unhurried journeying through the dark. The 12th fact is that one light year stretches out to about 9.5 trillion kilometers, a number so enormous that it slips gently past all ordinary understanding. And yet this vast and sweeping distance is only the very first small ruler we will need as we drift softly outward toward the far and quiet stars tonight. The 13th fact is that if you could somehow shrink our whole sun down to the size of a single small marble resting in your palm, then on that same gentle scale the Earth would be a nearly invisible grain of dust, turning quietly at a distance of about a single long stride away across the floor. The 14th fact is that the moon, so bright and so close in our familiar sky, is really a small world only about 3,500 kilometers across, roughly a quarter the width of the Earth, and it drifts around us patiently once each month, held gently in place by nothing more than the soft and steady pull of gravity. The 15th fact is that when astronauts first traveled to the moon, their journey across that quiet gulf of space took about 3 unhurried days, even moving faster than any rifle bullet, which quietly shows that the very same distance that light crosses in a single second can take a human traveler many long and patient hours to cross. The 16th fact is that a radio message, which also travels at the full speed of light, takes a little over 1 second to reach the moon and just over a second to return, so that a gentle conversation held across that distance always carries a soft and unavoidable pause, a small quiet delay written into space itself. The 17th fact is that our sun is so enormous that about 1,300,000 Earths could fit inside it, and yet, as we will slowly come to see, even this vast and blazing sun is only a very small and ordinary star, one modest ember among the countless others scattered softly through the dark. The 18th fact is that the light which warms your world each day sets out from the surface of the sun and crosses that great gulf of 150 million kilometers without ever slowing or tiring, arriving faithfully every single morning, a quiet and dependable river of light that has crossed the same calm distance for billions of years. The 19th fact is that everything we have spoken of so far, the Earth, the moon, and the sun, belongs only to our own small and immediate corner of space, a tiny neighborhood so modest that light can cross it in mere minutes, while the true and sweeping vastness of the universe still waits far, far ahead of us in the dark. The 20th fact is that as we prepare to drift gently outward from this cozy inner corner, it helps to hold one soft and simple idea close: that space is mostly empty, gentle, and calm, and that the greatest thing in all the cosmos is not its matter or its fire, but simply the quiet and endless room in which everything softly floats. The 21st fact is that our solar system is the family of worlds that circle our sun, 8 planets and their many moons, along with countless smaller bodies, all held gently in their long, slow orbits by the sun's patient gravity, drifting together through space in a wide and graceful company that has traveled side by side for billions of years. The 22nd fact is that Mercury, the planet nearest to the sun, orbits at about 1/3 of the Earth's distance, so close to that great fire that sunlight reaches it in only about 3 minutes, and there it races quickly around its small and tight orbit, the swiftest of all the planets in their long journeys around our star. The 23rd fact is that the Earth, our own quiet world, is the 3rd planet from the sun, resting comfortably in that gentle band where water can remain liquid and life can softly flourish, neither scorched by too much nearness nor frozen by too great a distance, but held in a calm and fortunate balance in the warmth. The 24th fact is that Jupiter, the giant of our solar system, orbits about 5 times farther from the sun than we do, so that sunlight takes roughly 43 minutes to reach it, and this single enormous world is so large that all of the other planets together could be gently gathered up and tucked inside it with ease. The 25th fact is that Saturn, wrapped in its wide and glorious rings, drifts about 10 times farther from the sun than the Earth, and the sunlight that gently touches its pale golden clouds has traveled for nearly 80 full minutes to arrive there, growing fainter and softer with every kilometer of that long and patient journey outward. The 26th fact is that Saturn's beautiful rings, for all their sweeping width, are made of countless small pieces of ice and rock, and they stretch across a distance so great that many Earths could line up along them, and yet they are astonishingly thin, in places only a few gentle meters from their top surface to their bottom. The 27th fact is that Uranus, a cool and quiet blue-green world, orbits about 19 times farther from the Sun than we do, so distant that sunlight takes about 2.5 hours to reach it, arriving so dim and so faint that its long, slow day unfolds in a soft and perpetual twilight far out in the cold. The 28th fact is that Neptune, the most distant of the true planets, drifts about 30 times farther from the Sun than the Earth, and the sunlight that reaches it has traveled for more than 4 full hours, so faint by then that noon on Neptune would seem to us no brighter than a gentle silvery dusk. The 29th fact is that Neptune is so far away and moves so slowly along its enormous orbit that it takes about 165 of our Earth years to complete just one single trip around the Sun, so that since its discovery it has only recently finished one full and unhurried journey around our distant star. The 30th fact is that light, for all its incredible swiftness, takes more than 4 full hours simply to travel from the Sun out to Neptune, which means that our whole planetary family, from the innermost world to the outermost, is already so wide that its farthest edge lies many light hours away from its warm and central fire. The 31st fact is that beyond Neptune lies a vast, cold ring of icy worlds called the Kuiper Belt, a broad and quiet band scattered with frozen bodies, home to distant Pluto and to many other small and shadowed worlds, all of them drifting slowly through the deep cold far from the fading warmth of our Sun. The 32nd fact is that Pluto, once counted as the 9th planet, orbits so very far away that sunlight takes more than 5 hours to reach it, and from its frozen surface the Sun would appear only as a single brilliant star, brighter than all the others, yet far too distant to bring any real or gentle warmth. The 33rd fact is that the small spacecraft we sent to visit Pluto traveled for more than 9 long years to reach it, crossing billions of kilometers of empty and silent space, and even racing along at many kilometers each second. It needed nearly a decade of patient journeying just to arrive at the edge of our own solar system. The 34th fact is that beyond even the Kuiper Belt, our Sun's influence reaches on and on through an invisible bubble called the heliosphere, a vast and gentle region carved out by the steady wind of particles that streams softly outward from the Sun in every direction, sweeping quietly through the dark for billions upon billions of kilometers. The 35th fact is that the 2 Voyager spacecraft, launched more than 40 years ago, have now traveled so far that they have finally crossed the outer edge of this bubble and entered true interstellar space, becoming the most distant human-made objects, yet still taking many hours for their faint radio whispers to reach us at the speed of light. The 36th fact is that far, far beyond all of this, our Sun is thought to be surrounded by an enormous and ghostly shell of icy bodies called the Oort cloud, a vast sphere of sleeping comets that may stretch outward for nearly a full light year, marking the true and distant boundary of our Sun's gentle domain. The 37th fact is that if the Oort cloud reaches as far as astronomers gently suspect, then our whole solar system, from the Sun to its farthest icy edge, may be nearly 2 light-years wide, which means that light itself would need almost 2 full years just to cross from one side of our home to the other. The 38th fact is that comets are believed to fall inward from this distant frozen cloud, drifting slowly toward the Sun over many thousands of years, and when they finally draw near enough to feel its warmth, they bloom into the bright and glowing tails that have quietly graced our skies for as long as anyone has looked up. The 39th fact is that despite holding 8 planets, countless moons, and a great cloud of comets, our solar system is still almost entirely empty space, so that if you traveled through it in a straight line you would drift for enormous distances between the worlds, meeting nothing at all but the calm, silent, and open dark. The 40th fact is that our entire solar system, wide as it is really only a single tiny point set against the greater vastness that still lies ahead. For once we leave the last comets behind and turn toward the nearest star, the distances no longer stretch across light hours, but across long and patient light years of empty dark. The 41st fact is that the nearest star to our Sun is a small, dim red dwarf named Proxima Centauri, and it rests about 4¼ light-years away from us, which means that the light now gently reaching us from it first set out on its long journey more than 4 full years ago through the silent dark. The 42nd fact is that 4 light-years is such an enormous distance that if you shrank the Sun down to the size of a single grain of sand, its nearest neighbor star would still lie many kilometers away, showing how the stars, for all their countless numbers, are spread across truly vast and lonely gulfs of gentle, empty space. The 43rd fact is that Proxima Centauri belongs to a small family of 3 stars known together as the Alpha Centauri system, and even our very fastest spacecraft, if we sent one there today, would need tens of thousands of years to make the crossing, so far away is even the very closest of all the other stars. The 44th fact is that the bright stars you see scattered across a clear night sky are almost all near neighbors in cosmic terms, most of them within a few hundred light-years of us, so that the familiar patterns of the constellations are woven only from the closest and most luminous stars in our own small quiet corner of the galaxy. The 45th fact is that all of these stars, our Sun among them, belong to a single great island of stars called the Milky Way galaxy, an immense, slowly turning wheel of stars, gas, and dust, bound together by gravity and drifting as one through the wider dark, our vast and quiet home among the heavens. The 46th fact is that the Milky Way is so large that light itself, that swiftest of all travelers, would need about 100,000 years simply to cross from one side of it to the other, a span of time so long that our whole recorded human history would pass many hundreds of times within a single crossing. The 47th fact is that our galaxy is a graceful spiral, its stars gathered into long, sweeping arms that wind slowly outward from a bright and crowded center, and our own Sun rests quietly in one of these arms, far out in the calm and peaceful suburbs, safely away from the busy and brilliant galactic core. The 48th fact is that the Milky Way holds an astonishing number of stars, somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion of them, so many that if you tried to count them one by one, at a single star each second, you would still be counting quietly for many thousands of long years without ever finishing. The 49th fact is that our Sun rests about 26,000 light-years away from the center of the galaxy, so far out toward the edge that the light we now see leaving the galactic core first departed on its journey 26,000 years ago, back when the first Ice Age artists were gently painting on their cave walls. The 50th fact is that our whole solar system drifts along a vast and gentle orbit around the center of the galaxy, moving at about 230 kilometers every second, and yet the galaxy is so enormous that even at this tremendous speed, one single orbit takes about 230 million patient years to complete. The 51st fact is that this long journey of the Sun around the galaxy is sometimes called a galactic year, and since our Sun and Earth first formed, they have completed only about 20 of these great slow circuits, so that in the deep and unhurried rhythm of the galaxy, our whole world is barely 20 gentle years old. The 52nd fact is that at the very center of the Milky Way rests a supermassive black hole named Sagittarius A star, weighing about 4 million times as much as our Sun, quietly anchoring the whole vast galaxy and holding its hundreds of billions of stars in their long, slow, and patient orbits around that calm and distant center. The 53rd fact is that the flat, glowing disk of our galaxy is about 100,000 light-years wide, and yet it is comparatively thin, only about 1,000 light-years thick through most of its sweep, so that the Milky Way is shaped a little like a vast, luminous pancake turning slowly and gracefully in the dark. The 54th fact is that the faint, milky band of soft light that arches across a truly dark night sky is really our own galaxy seen from the inside, the combined and blended glow of countless distant stars in the disk around us, far too many and too faint to tell apart, melting gently into a river of pale light. The 55th fact is that between all the stars of the galaxy drift great clouds of gas and dust, the quiet nurseries where new stars are slowly and patiently born, so that the Milky Way is not only a gathering of finished stars, but a living, gentle place where fresh suns are still softly kindling even now. The 56th fact is that our galaxy is surrounded by a faint and spacious halo of older stars and mysterious dark matter, a vast, dim sphere reaching far beyond the bright spiral disk, so that the true and full extent of the Milky Way stretches even farther out into the dark than its glowing arms alone would gently suggest. The 57th fact is that dark matter, though we cannot see it or touch it, seems to make up most of our galaxy's mass, an unseen and gentle scaffolding whose quiet gravity holds the swiftly spinning stars in place, so that the visible galaxy we admire is only the bright and shining tip of something far larger and stiller. The 58th fact is that our Milky Way is not alone but travels with a small entourage of companion galaxies, little clusters of stars orbiting around it, the brightest of which, the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds, can be seen softly with the unaided eye from the quiet skies of the Earth's far southern lands. The 59th fact is that even the nearest of these companion galaxies lies well over 100,000 light-years away, so that their gentle light has been traveling toward us since long before the first modern humans walked the Earth, arriving at last in our own night sky as a soft and ancient whisper of distant, patient starlight. The 60th fact is that our whole vast galaxy, holding its hundreds of billions of stars across 100,000 light-years of space, is itself only one single island among a great and uncountable ocean of other galaxies, so that beyond the Milky Way there waits a vastness so much larger still that it gently defies all imagining. The 61st fact is that the nearest large galaxy to our own is the Great Spiral of Andromeda, resting about 2.5 million light-years away from us, so that the faint light we now see from it first set out on its long journey 2.5 million years ago, before our earliest ancestors had learned to make their tools. The 62nd fact is that Andromeda is one of the very farthest things that human eyes can see without any telescope at all, appearing on a clear, dark night as a small, faint smudge of gentle light, and when you look upon it you are quietly gazing across 2.5 million years of empty and silent space. The 63rd fact is that Andromeda is even larger than our own Milky Way, holding perhaps 1 trillion stars within its sweeping spiral arms, and it is drifting slowly toward us through the dark, so that in about 4 billion patient years it and our galaxy will gently meet and merge into a single greater island of stars. The 64th fact is that our Milky Way, the great Andromeda galaxy, and dozens of smaller galaxies all belong together to a single gravitational family called the Local Group, a modest gathering of more than 80 galaxies drifting together through space, bound gently by gravity across a region roughly 10 million light-years wide in the quiet dark. The 65th fact is that within this local group, our Milky Way and Andromeda are the two great giants, while most of the others are small and faint dwarf galaxies, quiet little gatherings of stars that circle the larger two like gentle moths drifting softly around a pair of steady and patient lanterns in the endless dark. The 66th fact is that even our whole local group, 10 million light-years across and holding scores of galaxies, is itself only a small and quiet suburb of something far larger, for it drifts along at the outer edge of a great and crowded gathering of galaxies known as the mighty Virgo cluster far beyond us. The 67th fact is that the Virgo cluster is an enormous swarm of well over 1,000 galaxies, all bound together by gravity within a region about 50 million light-years away, drawing our own local group ever so slowly toward it through the deep dark. So vast is the pull of all its gathered starlight and unseen mass. The 68th fact is that clusters of galaxies like Virgo are among the largest structures held together by gravity in all the universe, single gatherings so immense that light needs tens of millions of years merely to cross them, each one holding within it more stars than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth. The 69th fact is that these great clusters are themselves gently gathered into even larger structures called superclusters, vast and sprawling collections of many clusters strung softly together across space, forming some of the grandest and most sweeping patterns that exist anywhere in the whole of the wide and quietly unfolding cosmos. The 70th fact is that our own local group and the Virgo cluster belong to a truly colossal supercluster named Laniakea, a Hawaiian word meaning immeasurable heaven, a single sweeping structure so enormous that it stretches across about 500 million light-years of space and gathers within it more than 100,000 separate galaxies. The 71st fact is that within the great supercluster of Laniakea, all of its uncountable galaxies drift very slowly toward a single gentle center, a distant gravitational valley quietly called the Great Attractor, as though the whole vast structure were softly and patiently flowing inward, like water gathering toward the lowest hollow in an unimaginably wide and shallow basin. The 72nd fact is that the distances between the galaxies are so enormous that light spends millions of years crossing them, and so when we peer at faraway galaxies through our telescopes, we are always looking deep into the past, seeing them not as they are today, but as they once were long ages ago in cosmic history. The 73rd fact is that this gentle truth means that the farther out into space we look, the further back in time we see, so that our largest telescopes are really quiet windows into the distant past, gathering ancient light that has traveled for billions of years to arrive at last softly at their patient waiting mirrors. The 74th fact is that some of the galaxies we can now observe are so remarkably far away that their light has been traveling toward us for more than 13 billion years, setting out when the universe itself was still very young, so that we see those galaxies as they appeared in the first gentle dawn of cosmic time. The 75th fact is that when astronomers gaze into a tiny, seemingly empty patch of the night sky and hold their telescopes patiently open upon it for many long hours, that small dark speck slowly fills with thousands of distant galaxies, each one a great island of billions of stars, hidden quietly within the apparent emptiness. The 76th fact is that from these patient, deep observations, astronomers now gently estimate that the observable universe may hold as many as 2 trillion galaxies, a number so vast that there are far more galaxies out there in the dark than there are people who have ever lived across the whole long story of the Earth. The 77th fact is that if you tried to imagine every single one of those 2 trillion galaxies, each holding its own hundreds of billions of stars, the total number of stars in the observable universe would climb beyond all counting, likely far greater than every grain of sand on every shore of our entire quiet world. The 78th fact is that despite this staggering abundance of galaxies and stars, the universe is still, once again, overwhelmingly made of gentle empty space, for the galaxies are separated by immense and quiet gulfs, tiny islands of light scattered thinly across an ocean of calm, patient darkness far larger than all the islands within it. The 79th fact is that the galaxies are not scattered evenly at all, but are gathered along vast, glowing threads and sheets, gently woven together into a great and delicate pattern, so that when we map the universe on its very largest scales, it begins softly to resemble a kind of immense and shimmering cosmic tapestry. The 80th fact is that all of these galaxies are also slowly drifting apart from one another, for the very space between them is quietly stretching and expanding, carrying the distant galaxies ever farther away, so that the whole universe is gently growing wider and more spacious with every passing and unhurried moment of cosmic time. The 81st fact is that on the very largest scale of all, the galaxies of the universe are arranged into a breathtaking pattern that astronomers softly call the cosmic web, a vast network of glowing filaments and sweeping walls of galaxies, threaded gently through the dark and stretching across the whole of the observable universe. The 82nd fact is that woven between these bright filaments of the cosmic web lie enormous and nearly empty regions called voids, immense rounded bubbles of quiet space, some of them hundreds of millions of light-years across, holding within their vast and gentle hollows almost no galaxies at all, only the calmest and stillest darkness imaginable. The 83rd fact is that these great cosmic voids are so unimaginably large that light itself would need hundreds of millions of years simply to cross a single one of them, and yet they are among the emptiest, quietest, and most peaceful places that exist anywhere in the entire wide and slowly unfolding universe. The 84th fact is that the whole observable universe, the full sphere of everything whose light has had the time to reach us since the very beginning, is about 93 billion light-years across, a distance so vast that even the swift and tireless light we have followed all night could never hope to cross it. The 85th fact is that this observable universe is not necessarily the whole of everything, but only the part we are able to see, a great gentle bubble centered softly upon us, its edge simply marking the farthest distance from which light has had enough time to travel across the ages and finally reach our quiet world. The 86th fact is that the true universe beyond that visible edge may be very much larger still, perhaps unimaginably larger, or possibly even endless, stretching on and on far past the horizon of everything we can ever observe, so that what we can see may be only the smallest gentle fraction of all that truly is. The 87th fact is that the reason we can see only so far is that the universe has a finite age, about 13.8 billion years, and light has simply not had enough time to reach us from anything farther away, so that the edge of the observable universe is really an edge made softly out of time itself. The 88th fact is that the most distant light of all comes not from any star or galaxy, but from a faint and gentle glow called the cosmic microwave background, the soft afterglow of the young universe itself, a quiet warmth left over from a time long before the first stars had ever begun to shine. The 89th fact is that this ancient afterglow surrounds us gently on every side, arriving faithfully from all directions at once, a soft and patient whisper of light that has been traveling toward us for more than 13 billion years, quietly filling the whole sky with the calm and even warmth of the newborn cosmos. The 90th fact is that within this vast and expanding universe, our entire Milky Way galaxy is only a single tiny thread in the great cosmic web, and our sun is but one modest star among its hundreds of billions, drifting quietly in a peaceful and unremarkable corner far out along one gentle spiral arm. The 91st fact is that against such a boundless scale, our whole Earth becomes almost inconceivably small, a single pale grain of dust turning softly around an ordinary star, in an ordinary galaxy, adrift in an ocean of 2 trillion galaxies, and yet upon this one small grain rests everything and everyone that you have ever loved. The 92nd fact is that every atom within your resting body, the iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones, was forged long ago in the blazing hearts of ancient stars, so that you are, in the truest and gentlest sense, made of stardust, quietly woven from the very same cosmos we have wandered through tonight. The 93rd fact is that the light from the farthest galaxies has crossed almost the entire history of the universe to bring its faint glow to your eyes, so that in a single quiet glance upward you may gather light that is billions of years old, a soft and ancient gift arriving gently from the deep and distant past. The 94th fact is that the universe, for all its unimaginable size, is built upon the very same simple and elegant laws everywhere we look, the same gravity, the same light, the same gentle physics shaping a falling leaf here on Earth and the slow turning of the most distant galaxy far out at the very edge of sight. The 95th fact is that this deep and quiet sameness means that you are not truly separate from the vast cosmos at all, but are woven gently into it, made of its ancient matter, warmed by its starlight, and carried softly along by the same great expansion that gently widens the space between the most distant galaxies. The 96th fact is that to feel small beneath such an immense universe need not be frightening or lonely in the slightest, but can instead be strangely comforting, a gentle reminder that you are held safely within something almost infinitely larger and older and calmer than any of the small worries of a single passing day. The 97th fact is that as you rest here now, the whole vast universe is quietly holding you, the galaxies turning slowly, the stars shining patiently, the great cosmic web stretching softly outward in every direction, all of it unfolding in a calm and endless silence that asks nothing of you at all but to breathe, and to be and to rest. The 98th fact is that far beyond your quiet room, past the moon, past the sun, past the last of the planets and the nearest stars and the whole turning wheel of the Milky Way, the countless galaxies drift onward through the dark, patient and untroubled, exactly as they have for billions of years, and exactly as they will long after this peaceful night. The 99th fact is that you are a small and gentle and deeply beloved part of this same vast and ancient universe, cradled safely upon a quiet blue world, drifting softly among 2 trillion galaxies of light, held gently in the calm and open arms of all that endless space, exactly and precisely where you are meant to be. The 100th fact is that as you drift now into sleep, the galaxies go on turning, and the stars go on shining, and the whole immeasurable universe goes on unfolding, patient and calm and endless, holding you softly and safely through all the quiet hours of the night. Rest now, sleep well, and thank you for drifting with me beyond the stars.